Mr. Dominic.
Present.
Mr. Johnson.
Present.
Mr. Pearson.
Present.
Ms. Wynn.
Present.
Ms. Bowman.
Here.
Ms. Baker.
Here.
Ms. Lynch.
Here.
Mr. Escaday. Mr. Thibodeau.
Here.
Mr. Cox. Mr.
Here.
Smith. Mr. Epperson. We have a quorum, sir.
All right, Ms. Baker, would you lead us in prayer, please? And Mr. Lynn, the pledge.
Let's bow our heads. Father God, we thank you, Lord, for another opportunity and another day to come in before your presence to make decisions for your people. We ask that you would touch our hearts and our minds and help us to make the right decision for your people. We love you, we praise you, we lift you up, we magnify your name. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Everyone, please face the flag and say the Pledge of Allegiance. Along with me, I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay.
Do you have any agenda additions? Anyone? Don't see any. Citizens' comments. Citizens who wish to address the commission on any issue other than zoning, please fill out a comment card located in the chamber for you and return to the president or the clerk of the commission. Individual comments are limited to 3 minutes. Do we have any?
No, sir.
All right. Have any visitors?
No visitors.
Special resolutions?
No special resolution, sir.
Communiques and committee reports. Administration response to information. Mr. Bucky?
I don't have anything with me, but I wasn't here for the Monday work session, so I'm not, is there anything that I may answer?
Yes. Mr. Cox?
I've made a call to your office about some problems with people running water in the area that has been set aside as far as danger, as far as low water. What did you find out about that?
We have called the DNR local office here and gave them the address of that one you gave me and asked them to go out there and check on it, and if the guy was illegally doing watering all the time, that, you know, that's the report that we got from the citizens, and I have not heard back from him.
Okay. If you wouldn't mind, call in the morning.
Okay.
And they might have to go out there at night because that's when he's doing it.
Okay.
And get back with me because
I will.
I've got that neighborhood, they're all following the rules, this guy's not, and they're wanting to know if their water runs dry. He's got green grass and they have no water to bathe in.
Well, and I didn't say anything about night.
Okay. All right. If you
I just told him he was doing it all the time.
If you could do a follow-up for me, I
Okay.
appreciate it.
I will, David.
Thanks, sir.
Mr. Lucky, on that same subject, anytime that we ask y'all to call, would you ask them to report back to us? I know I've given you some names, but I never have heard back.
Absolutely, I will.
To what they did. Ms. Lynch?
Wanted to give the NGO, et cetera, committee has met, and we started a process of going through appropriation requests. We will have another meeting next week. Ms. Bryant asked that I not do it this week because I think she's out the remainder of this week. We'll be back Monday. I'll check with her Monday to see what day next week works best for her, and I'll advise the committee. Thank you.
Ms. Baker?
Just want to give a report on the Economic Development Committee. We met today, and I made a motion to move forward with the Economic Development Partnership with the City of Shreveport. To move forward, go ahead with the
All right.
partnership.
We've got PSA, Be Prepared, Not Scared, Commissioner Lynch. I hope that's not what I think it is.
I cut it.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you on there. Okay, Doug.
Just want to invite everybody, Morningsport does have their Fall Fest this week. Friday they'll be having a cookout at the fire station like they normally do, the parade's at 1, so if anybody gets a chance to come up to Morningsport. That's it.
Okay, Ms. Lynch.
Food? Do what?
Free food?
I don't know if it'll be free because as much as you eat, I'm sure they'll charge you, but they'll have fun, games, all that type of stuff that comes with festivals. Is usually a good time. So.
Mr. Cox, you on again?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Oh, is that?
Go ahead.
Mr. Evans, I need to have him up front, please, answer a couple of questions. I would have got with you before the meeting, but I was in another meeting, so I might as well do it now.
Yes, sir.
Can you give me an overview of the 2 cases I heard on the news yesterday about one that the lady had how many dogs in her yard, and the other one with a house that had the running cats?
Okay, the first one you mentioned is the Oil City case, and the lady had well over 60 animals inside a 2-bedroom
You're
trailer.
saying 60.
Over 60, 60, sir.
Okay. And the
And-
complaint came in from where?
The complaint came in from Pet Savers, an organization that was trying to help the lady with the animals. They were working with a show called Animal Hoarding to try to bring some relief to her with some rescue agencies to remove the animals from the house. But it didn't work out for them, so when we went out there to take a look at it, she was overwhelmed with the dogs. There was this entire animals at that place. It was unsafe.
Give me an idea of the size of the area that she had.
Well, she had a fenced-in area. It was pretty much less than a half an acre what her property was sitting on, and she had all those animals within that area. And that they had the door of the trailer was basically cut open, where the house resembled a tree house, because there was bird cages inside the house where birds could fly directly inside the house to go into the cages. And we tagged each dog. They didn't have proper rabies shots, so we tagged each one, and we brought them all to the animal shelter. We brought a total of 60 animals, 52 dogs and 8 cats.
How many does she have now?
She has 4 animals, sir.
Can we take her to the review board and have it to where she cannot have any animals, because that is their responsibility, and plus the property values of both north, south, east, and west of her property drops. If she's got a problem with hoarding animals, that's a person that doesn't need to have animals. Do you agree?
Yes, sir. The reason that she acquired so many animals, people were dropping them off in that area, and she was just basically bringing them in, but we've talked to and educated her on it. I don't think we will see another problem from her, hopefully.
Seriously?
Yes, sir.
I bet you
Now
a donut you will.
We'll have to deal with her, sir, at that time, but she's under the understanding that she will not do that anymore. She's going to maintain those 4, and we told her she can have up to 4 animals, and if she can maintain that, because her husband just died, so we didn't want to compound the situation.
Okay, and the other?
And the other situation is there's a family member that was out of town who had a house. We got a call from Shreveport Police Department stating that there was an odor emitting from the house, which is a nuisance complaint. That they suspected between 30 to 40 cats in a house.
And what part of town is it?
Spring Lake.
Spring Lake? Okay.
Yes, sir. And when we got out there, we assisted Shreveport Police Department. They stated that the odor was so bad that it smelled like there was a dead corpse in the house, when actually it wasn't. It was just fecal matter and feces and urine soiled in the house pretty good. And the son and daughter who was keeping the house while the mother, she went out of town, I guess she got ill and didn't return, they were watching the house for her, and I guess they just neglected to keep an eye on the animals, and the animals had free reign of the house for a couple of months. But it's speculated that they were not living at the residence, but they were actually living at the residence according to the neighbors, and they had a child there, so the spouse was arrested yesterday.
Okay.
And so far, we've seized about 7 of those cats, and we have 5 traps out there, and we're constantly trapping and checking those so we can bring that number down to 0.
Okay. For the people who are living in a neighborhood, who are living next door to this, because we had a problem like this last year in Southern Hills at a house.
Yes, sir.
What are the rights of the owners of the houses connecting to them, and do you have to go through the city and the city attorney to get something done like we did last year? Because if you do,
In this
that's
situation, sir, if they didn't adhere to what we were trying to do, since there are people that we can actually talk with, the son, then we would pursue those charges because the animals were not in compliance. None of the animals had a medical history that we could verify of rabies shots and the things that we need to verify to make sure that those animals were safe in that community. But what they did was they neglected to manage those animals to a point where it became a nuisance, and the neighbors started to complain, which is a right, because if the odor is emitting from the house, then it becomes a nuisance and it's a violation of the ordinance. So at that point, we would have to intervene.
Okay. All right, if you would, just keep us informed on both cases.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thanks, sir.
All right. Ms. Lynch? Keep adding. Doug?
Appreciate it, you know, if the news media is called out in those situations, if you don't mind, at least trying to send the commissioners whose district that is, because I didn't know anything about it being on the news until, you know, Commissioner Cox said something a while ago, so if something like it happens, I just appreciate an email ahead of time so I would know, or anybody, whoever's district something like it's in.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. But it sounds like you did what you had to do, so keep it up.
Hey, Ms. Lynch?
Okay, we just giving a setup for this PSA, and I know I talked about this a couple of weeks ago at our meeting about the Be Prepared, Not Scared, September being National Preparedness Month, but certainly preparedness is something that is good to be, you know, whether it's observing a monthly observation or whatever, because you never know when something is going to happen. And so this is a PSA that is related to that initiative, and one that I think Amy was able to get played, but I'm not really sure where it played. But so I wanted to make sure that our citizens were aware of what they could do in cases of emergencies. Hit that.
Want to stay in touch with loved ones during any emergency? Learn to text in shorthand. It's just 8 easy numbers. 7865 spelling "Are you okay?" and 4665 spelling "I am okay." Practice the cell phone safety drill with loved ones this September during National Preparedness Month. And be prepared, not scared, for handling it.
You got video with you?
It's coming.
I break cameras and
There you go.
Want to stay in touch with loved ones during any emergency? Learn the text in shorthand. It's just 8 easy numbers. 7865 spelling "Are you okay?" and 4665 spelling "I am okay." Practice the cell phone safety drill with loved ones this September during National Preparedness Month. And be prepared, not scared, for handling anything unexpected. And remember, call 911 when you have an emergency.
I know my hair does not look like that today.
But you had it matching your outfit. I like that.
Anyway, that's a PSA. I think it's maybe on the website, or if it's not, it will be. And it's downloadable, so you know we can use it, continue to use it. This next one, I think, Mike accused me of being a narcissist, but certainly I was able to attend a conference in Des Moines, Iowa, a place I've never been, and was able to participate in an interview process with Comcast, who is our local cable provider, and you know, just asking some things about Caddo Parish and how we handle certain things, and so I wanted to play that as well for our citizens and for us. You can play. You can cut the volume up a little bit.
Hello and welcome to a special edition of Comcast Newsmakers. We are on location in Des Moines, Iowa at the annual conference for the National Foundation for Women Legislators. And I'm joined by Commissioner Stephanie Lynch of Caddo Parish in Louisiana. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Retail politics is a very big issue at this conference, and I know for you going door to door is really important. I'm wondering what you have found out over the years in order to finesse what you do to make things better for you to represent your voice.
Can you cut the volume up?
There's a saying that says people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And I think that's the essence of retail politics. You know, shaking hands and kissing babies, making that personal connection with the people that you represent.
When you go door to door, are you well received?
Oh, absolutely. People are sometimes surprised. They've never had a politician come to their house, or you know, they may be used to communicating with you in other forms, whether that's social media, or on the internet, or just watching you on your local cable station that airs our meetings. But having that personal contact
with you standing at their door, it's quite a different experience for most people.
Right, on their own ground, on their
Exactly.
territory. It makes it a lot different.
Exactly.
I'm sure they're much more vocal. You were telling me a funny story about, what else you've learned is that, don't run away from a dog. too.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So tell me, what are some of the things that people tell you that is concern to them? Is there a common thread that you hear from folks?
Well, the economy. People are concerned about the economy. People are concerned about the number of wars that we're engaged in currently. But I think jobs and the economy is paramount, and of course their children's education is important to a lot of people.
So you go to door to door, but do you also meet with them in other forms, or maybe a quarterly meeting, or a lot
Well,
of
you have
folks
town
that-
hall meetings, and of course all of our meetings are public meetings, so people are allowed to come down and speak at the meetings, and meet and greets. Of course, every festival, every fair, or what have you, you're constantly meeting people, and whether it's on aisle 9 at the local grocery store or at their house. I mean, you're constantly finding ways to engage your constituents.
Some people are more active in the community and come out to meetings. Do you find that, I guess, depending upon the topic, that's going to change the level of the audience participation?
Well, you tend to find voters that are older who really appreciate the sacrifice that has been made for us to represent them. They're always there, maybe 55 and up, that demographic. But certainly the topic determines how large the crowd is.
How do you get people to come to the table then?
Well, usually if there's a topic that's, I guess, a hot topic, you want to bring that information to people, and so people are ready to hear it. And so it's not all issue-driven. Sometimes it's about giving information. If we're providing new services or rolling out a new initiative, then we'll engage the community in as many ways as we can.
And has there been a time where you've heard something from a constituent and they've moved you to do something because of something that they said that you may not have even known about?
Well, I'm moved all the time because public service is a 24-hour job. And so you're constantly taking in information, conferences such as the one that I'm at this week, and information that we're getting, research that we're doing. It's an ongoing process. And so a lot of times you're educating them, but also they're educating you about their needs.
And you mentioned the conference. A lot of your peers are here doing similar things that you were doing. Have you learned anything by exchanging ideas?
Oh, absolutely. I've never been to Iowa. And so, seeing the cornfields and all of that. So it's an experience that you can bring back, just another place that you can go and see, of course, the beautiful Meredith Gardens and the library that they have here, and the composition of it, how it's built, how it's laid out. So those are the experiences that you can bring back to improve your own community.
Absolutely. Well, I want to thank you so much for being with us, because I know that, social media and all that is so big, but grassroots always works too, and have fun with it.
All politics is local.
All right, thanks again. And thank you for joining us here on Comcast Newsmakers. I'm Candace Kelly.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
There's no president's report today. Adopt minutes of the regular meeting held on September 22nd. So moved. Second. Cast your vote, please. Okay, that passes. Public hearing on ordinances.
Have ordinance number 5127, 2011, amending the budget of estimate revenues and expenditures for the oil and gas fund and capital outlay fund in the amount of $600,000 for a utility district water study.
Anyone to speak for? Anyone against? Okay, move on.
Ordinance number 5128 of 2011, amending the budget of estimate revenues and expenditures for the juvenile justice fund in the amount of $40,000 for a truancy program.
Anyone to speak in favor? Against? All right, next.
Ordinance number 5129 of 2011, amending the budget of estimate revenues and expenditures for the juvenile justice fund in the amount of $28,000 for a juvenile court program titled Facts of Life.
In favor? Anyone to speak against? All right, next one.
Ordinance number 5130 of 2011, amending and reenacting Chapter 2, Section 3 of the Caddo Parish Code of Ordinances regarding the application fee for the sale or donation of adjudicated property.
Anyone in favor? Speak against? All right. That concludes public hearing on the ordinances. Final passage on the ordinance.
Ordinance number 5127, 2011, amending the budget of estimate revenues and expenditures for the oil and gas and capital outlay fund in the amount of $600,000 for a utility district water study.
So moved.
Second.
I'd like to speak on that too, Mr. Tippett.
Moved by Ms. Baker, seconded by Mr. Smith. Ms. Baker, do you have any?
No.
Okay.
And Lynch is lit up.
For Mr.
All right.
Smith.
And Mr. Smith?
Lynch and Smith.
There's been some question via emails and other conversations that we may not have had an open session on this and open information. As chairperson, I feel like we've had an everything open to the public. As a matter of fact, the very day we met as a committee to go ahead and prove it to bring to the floor body, there was a group that had contacted Mr. Thibodeau the day before and asked to come, and they were allowed to do so and made their presentation. All of those members were local people, so they had to know, in my mind, that this water district deal was going on. Many of them are friends of mine, just like they are friends of yours, I know. So I think this subject has been given openness, fairness, and I just wanted to go on record to say that I've never seen this body since I've been here, or even before, not be open and frank on every subject. Thank you, sir.
All right, Ms. Lynch?
I just had a question. Is there a representative here from Shaw Group? I think.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions.
Can you give us your name, please, and who you represent?
Yes, sir. My name is Luke Laban. I'm with the Shaw Group.
Right, Jim, and like Mr. Smith said, there are really two groups of folks that I've heard from in relation to this. One, I guess, raised the issue of local participation, and the other, folks that are aware that we have an economic inclusion initiative here at Caddo Parish, and wanted to make sure that there were opportunities for small and economically disadvantaged businesses in this scope of work. So can you speak to both of those?
Yes, ma'am, I can. We do have included in our proposal, not in the proposal that was given to the commission, but we are including local businesses here. Baylor Engineers is going to be part of this study. We've had negotiations and discussions with them, and we've also talked with Gary Hansen of the Red River Waterway Institute to be a part of this, and in addition to that, we've also had discussions with IMS consultants to be part of this team as well. So all locally based consultants here in Shreveport.
Okay. So all of those folks are definitely in, or what's the status on the?
Well, we're currently working with them on the sub-consultant agreements, but they're all very much interested in being part of the team. I think some of them are here today, but I would, say that that's a definite going to happen.
Okay. Are you aware of what our, our goal for under our economic inclusion initiative? Are you aware of that?
Of the percentage, ma'am?
Yes.
I don't know the exact number off the top of my head.
Okay, it's 25%, but I'm gonna provide the information for you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be great.
All righty, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Dominic?
Yeah, this has been open. We, as far as I know, the committee meetings have been open. We've been talking about this for, it seems like almost several years now, and this is something that's probably extremely important to entire parish. We've been working on this for years, and we've been working with Bossier Parish. Bossier Parish apparently passed their part yesterday or the day before yesterday. We talked about this and had numerous conversations, especially in this setting. I know Monday we had a large discussion. It's time for us to step up to the ball and move forward and pass this and get this thing done. We've been talking too long. We need to get this study going and moving forward, and I hope everybody supports me to move this, to vote yes on this.
Ms. Bowman?
Yes, sir, thank you. I agree with you, Commissioner Dominic. We just came on several months ago at the beginning of the year, and of course most of your meetings have been taking place, but we attended every meeting of our committee, and I know for a fact that public notices have been sent out, am I correct?
That is correct.
On every meeting that we've had thus far. I know I've seen them, and I have to look at the fact that this is a study, and that we were in partnership with Bossier Parish. Bossier voted on this yesterday, and when you tell someone, look, we're with you, this is, this has to be done, of course the city backs out on their part of it, but nevertheless, you have to keep moving. You have to do what's right for your citizens. I'm not a rural commissioner. I represent an urban area, but I sympathize with those of you who represent those who live outside of the city limits, and especially those who are experiencing all of the problems that they're having with their water. It's not like we don't care, it's every time I see it on the news, that's the first thing I want to sit there and listen. I pay attention to what their concerns are. And at least this is a long-term plan. And it's my understanding that there's some short-term initiatives coming forward, and which I agree with, but I certainly agree with the entire committee. I think that, we did what was right and what was fair for the citizens, although the study part is basically long-term. But there are some issues that we have to address in those areas for those citizens. It's just the right thing to do, and it's no more than right that I support it. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Lynch?
I just had one other question from Mr. LaBaz. Is that the folks' names that you gave me, is that for all phases? Is that
Move to the microphone, Luke.
phase 1 to 10? Because what we're approving today, I think, is for all phases. Is that for all phases?
Yes, ma'am. These members will be part of our team, and
Okay.
as the need arises, depending on what the need is, we will engage those particular sub-consultants.
Okay, all righty, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Let me see, and I think I've expressed my concerns about this a couple of weeks ago. And I think part of the process where there may be some misunderstanding with the public is because this is probably one of the largest, and maybe the largest, professional services contract that the parish has done that's come through the commission. And certainly some folks may be concerned, as I was, that it was not a public bid process, and I think that may have contributed to some of the concerns about it not being public and being open. Certainly there were several other firms that at various points in the process, we started, when I came on in 2004, every trip that we took to Washington, we were talking about this water study. I think we eventually got it authorized, but did not get the money appropriated at the federal level. And so it is certainly something that has been going on for quite some time. And there may have been an expectation that it would have been publicly bid as opposed to being handled as a professional services contract. But I am glad to see that there is local participation, that there is minority participation in this contract, and so I will be supporting it for those reasons, although I do reserve my reservations about it not being a public bid process where everyone was aware of what the scope of work would be and what we were expecting. Certainly when we went to Washington, D.C. and asked for that money, we had to give them something on what we were expecting. You can't just go up and ask for money and don't have a plan, don't have what it is that you want. And from reading the minutes, there were some other firms that had expressed some interest but did not commit anything to paper. I think what the bid process does do is everyone is required, information is there for people to put together a plan, and it's not something that's just verbal in the office saying what we want, or either putting people in a position where they have to put together a plan in the dark. Public bid process is very specific. This is what we want. Can you do it? Give us a plan. Just, discussions in the back room about what we want. Some people may not be comfortable with that process because, people's memories get fuzzy when they leave a meeting. You're taking notes. You're trying to keep, put in writing what you hope somebody is looking for. Whereas with the bid process, you know specifically what they're looking for. So I think that may have contributed to some of the concerns that we're hearing from some citizens about the process not being open. Thank you.
Mr. Cox?
This process, as Mr. Dominic and others have stated, has been long overdue. Caddo Parish is on the edge of having a major problem within its borders, and we need this study. If you were to ask, I made a trip to Arizona earlier this year on another issue, but their water issues are like Texas, and Texas is becoming Louisiana. And if we don't do this, we are going to fail the citizens of Caddo Parish. So I would ask everybody to vote yes on this. Thank you.
All right. I had spoken to Mr. Lucky today to be sure that the cost of the services listed in each of the 10 phases was still accurate, and I believe there were some changes in those numbers, and I was going to ask Mr. Lucky to, please going to ask Mr. Ward to speak to that. Ken, if you don't mind, would you come up, please?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Commissioner Thibodeau's a little right. The plan that we asked for, or that we've discussed, and the proposal that we have from Shaw is more of like what I want to describe as an interactive plan. We really don't know we have 10 steps, but those 10 steps are really dependent on how our stakeholders, when we sit down and we start negotiating what we're going to do, what our short-term goals are, where we're going to go, are interactive. The plan that you've seen, the 10 steps, the cost in that is just the big pie in the sky type stuff, and that included the City of Shreveport. The City of Shreveport has temporarily stepped out. We're still negotiating with them to coming on board. The staff wants to be a part of that. They're willing to supply data that we don't have to go out and research. So the cost is, what you see in the plan is $841,000. Realistically, it's going to be less than that, and it's really going to be dependent on how much interactive material that we're going to take in and take out. We expect it to be considerable less than that, but to define the exact number is going to be hard. We think it's probably going to be in the $600,000 range or above. So, but it is interactive, and it's all going to depend on what our stakeholders have, timelines that we have, information that we can receive in, that kind of information.
Okay. I know we don't like surprises when it comes to what something's going to cost, and that's why I want him to speak to us. I see no one else on the board. Cast your vote, please. Okay. Unanimous.
Ordinance number 5128 of 2011, amending the budget of estimate revenues and expenditures for the Juvenile Justice Fund in the amount of $40,000 for a truancy program.
Move to pass.
Second. Okay, moved by Mr. Lynn, second by Cox. Anything you need to say about it? No others. Vote, please. Got 12.
Ordinance number 5129 of 2011, amending the budget of estimate revenues and expenditures for the Juvenile Justice Fund in the amount of $28,000 for a juvenile court program titled facts of life.
Move to pass. Second.
Moved by Mr. Lynn, second by Mr. Dominic. You may need to speak. Cast your vote. 9-1.
Ordinance number 5130 of 2011, amending and reenacting Chapter 2, Section 3 of the Caddo Parish Code of Ordinances regarding the application fee for the sale or donation of adjudicated property.
So move.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Baker, second by Mr. Pearson. Any comments? Cast your vote, please. Okay, next.
Of ordinance for introduction by title. Ordinance number 5131 of 2011, amending the budget of estimate revenues and expenditures for the capital outlay fund in the amount of $503,100 for the purchase of a parking garage on Crockett Street.
So moved.
That's just by title. Just by
I
title.
didn't read.
Ordinance number 5132 of 2011 to amend Article 6, Section 26182, Schedule A, speed limits of the Caddo Parish Code of Ordinances, decrease the speed limit on a portion of Albany Road from 35 to 25 miles per hour. Ordinance number 5133 of 2011 to amend Chapter 32 of the Code of Ordinances of the Parish of Caddo to enact Section 3260 to designate Caddo Lake Dam and Wallace Lake Dam as areas closed from dusk till dawn except for fishing.
Okay, I have one question. Mr. Raymond?
Yes.
On this last one on Caddo Lake Dam and Wallace Lake Dam, do either of those have gates that are closed from dusk to dawn?
Not that, they both have gates, but they don't close them at night. The only time I'm aware of the gates being closed is when there's a flooding situation.
Oh,
But there is signage that they have posted to that
that's posted
effect.
by the Corps?
By the Corps.
Okay.
That's correct.
And what they want us to do is post light posting so that would have the sheriff being responsible to,
They mainly wanted us to have an ordinance on the books that would enable the deputies to enforce it, where if they asked somebody to leave, they could cite an ordinance.
who enforces that now?
Both the deputies and the Corps of Engineer Rangers.
Okay. All right, thank you. Okay, work session minutes October 3rd.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Lynch, second by Mr. Dominic. Cast your vote, please. Resolutions.
Resolution number 46 of 2011, committing community water enrichment fund monies in the amount of $250,000 to pay all engineering and administrative fees associated to the LCDBG application for the Beldegill Water Project in North Caddo Parish.
So moved. Second.
Okay. Moved by Mr. Dominic, second by Mr. Pearson. No one's on the board. Cast your vote, please.
It ain't quick enough, Coach. It ain't quick enough.
New business.
Confirmation for travel for commissioners to attend the Inter-City Economic Development Site Visit with Mayor Glover and a delegation of city, parish, community, and business leaders from Caddo, Shreveport to Oklahoma, October 16th through 18th.
So moved. Second.
Got Ms. Baker and Ms. Lynch. Any comments? Mr. Cox?
I was given one of these invitations, and my personal opinion is that's a waste of time. I'm voting against this. I think that city leaders, parish leaders, and anyone else who is going on this trip can learn more by getting out and going into the areas of Shreveport that needs attention instead of shining a seat in an office or getting on a bus and going to Oklahoma and ask them, well, what'd you do? I'm voting against this, and I would ask anybody else to vote against this. And not saying that I don't think Ms. Baker and Ms. Lynch need to go, but my personal opinion is it's a waste of time. Thank you.
Have no other speakers. Cast your vote, please. Three looks like 7, 8, 4, 2 against. Mr. Pearson?
Move to join.
All right. That's it.